or stay on the field, I should say, and very little success on first down.
Under Sinceri, they had 170 net yards in Hamilton in the loss when they mustered only 3 points. Got some work to do tonight. Here's Dressler. Made a couple men miss up to the 52-yard line. A 50-yard boot by Hugh O'Neill.
You know, that cover team right there, that's another key. I mean, when Dressler's kick-started this team with a big return, they seem to get on a roll and have come back from behind in the last couple weeks when they have won. And this cover team by the Eskimos so far tonight have really contained Dressler in the return game.
So it is Daggy who remains in for his third series. Another good field position start. Up at the 52. Stands in, looks for Bagg, and Bagg has his second catch with Daggy at quarterback, with the Foster on his back, a 5-yard pickup.
A lot of routes last 4 or 5 games have been to bring Rob Bagg closer to the quarterback, to the middle. He starts out at that wide side, wide open position. They'll run the dig route. And then the other one that they like to get it to him is that fly and die on the sideline.
Got a pretty good spot for 5, second and 5 in Edmonton territory. Pocket collapsing again, does some dancing, and now has to get on his horse. Dexter McCoy will catch him. McCoy started the night with that stop on third down, and now he adds a sack to his total.
Like Anthony Allen is going to help out off the edge here, and he kind of misses. That's part of the problem for Seth Daggy. He's working on Heenan, and he kind of misses on that chip. So that collapses Heenan back into his lap a little bit, and then he's in trouble. Now, when he scrambles to his left, he only has a couple of there. They're pretty well covered. Plus, he can't throw running that hard that way.
Pressure on. Milo gets it away. Lawrence from his 15 is nailed. Paul Waldo, the special teams captain, down in a hurry. No gain on the return after a 45-yard punt. Mike Riley engineering a ground attack tonight. Ground and pound against this Rough Rider defense. Place in the CFL West, and we're not conceding first place either. Calgary with a tough home game tomorrow against the BC Lions. We'll have that for you. A slip there for John White, and he gets buried back in the backfield. John Chick and Macho Harris bring him down.
Macho Harris has John White wrapped up. There was a problem with the exchange between Riley and John White, but it was the big right arm of John Chick that ends this play. I mean, there's a little bit of a problem at the connection because it's bobbled a little bit there by Riley. And then, so with Macho Harris kind of hanging on, look at the big right arm. It swats him to the ground.
Loss of 3, second and 13. Riley steps up in trouble, and he'll be dropped by the middle linebacker. There's Chad Kilgore, but flag comes down. And is it going to be a face mask on Kilgore?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Chad Kilgore was in a spy position.
Major foul, face mask. Saskatchewan number 50 will go up 15 yards from the previous line of scrimmage. Automatic first down.
Chad Kilgore is going to be basically spying Mike Riley. Not a bad plan from Richie Hall, the defense coordinator, just hang him in there. And if Riley tries to run, he's going to be there to make the tackle. But when he goes to make the tackle on Riley, and Riley ducks, he gets the face hit with the right hand right there, no question. The flag came out.
First set of downs. Skip it to Lawrence. And Akeem Foster blocking in front. Helps him get a couple of extra yards before Chick brings him down, and it's almost 10 for Lawrence.
Well, this is something that they'll be able to use a lot more of, the little bubble screen. If Kendall Lawrence is going to be a receiver, and they get him into that bunch formation, he'll settle in and understand how to and where to line up and just the motions and things like that. That'll happen. Mike Riley said to me yesterday, he feels like he's a little bit like the Andre Dury type of player. Could be an all-purpose guy for you, and that bubble screen will be a big play for them down the stretch here if Kendall Lawrence remains a receiver.
There's a first down. Up close to the 39. Play action fake, and Riley pulls his own number up to the 42. So Mike Riley has 4 more. He has 85 yards rushing in this game. Last year, a career best 113 in a game against the Blue Bombers. And we mentioned he had 96 against Winnipeg earlier this year. With a 17-point lead, though, I'm not sure how much more they're going to want him to carry the ball tonight. Although in the first half, he didn't take many hits. Might have to get away from one here. And he'll launch it downfield and throw the football away with Hiley Taylor in the vicinity.
There's the difference between Seth Daggy, who's coming in and playing for the first time, basically, and Mike Riley, who's 8-2 this year and has some experience. He tried to extend the play, got outside, as Daggy did in that last series, but once he realized that it wasn't going to happen, and, you know, he buys some time here, tries to keep it alive, maybe he can find someone downfield. He does it, it's not going to happen, going to take the sack, it's going up into row 1.
O'Neill gets it away. Dressler will scoop it up at the 17. There'll be a 5-yard no yards penalty against that Edmonton cover team. Down to 10:05 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Catwoman becomes the prey, and the Penguin leaves a trail of victims in his wake. Watch an all-new episode of Gotham, Monday at 8, 7 Central on CTV. Eskimos pitching a shutout here with 10 minutes left. Daggy remains at quarterback, and Jerome Messam trying to get something going on the ground. Tough to stay with the ground game.
Yeah,
trailing by 17 with under 10 to go, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, when you have the running game that the Riders had for the first 8 games of the season, you could say, yeah, but over the last couple of weeks they've been contained a lot better along the ground, and now down by 17, you're going to have to start.
Need something big to a guy like Dressler or Taj Smith. The pass intended for Dressler is incomplete. Pretty good coverage by Aaron Grimes.
Weston Dressler does not have a catch in this game tonight, and for the most part what I've seen is he's been well covered. This time it's Alonzo Lawrence. Now he's going to mess with him a little bit, maybe get away with a pull there and a holding.
You know, we talked to Weston Dressler yesterday and felt like they really made strides, and how he was seeing the game the same way as Tino Sinceri last week. In particular, the 2-point convert was a play he
ruling on the field of an incomplete pass. They believe a defensive pass interference occurred on the play. The play will be reviewed.
And at this point in the game, a good challenge by Corey Chamberlain to try and keep that offense on the field, but a step back this week. He's been pulled from the game, and neither quarterback's been able to get anything going on.
Right there is illegal contact, not pass interference. Ball hasn't been thrown yet. So now if Lawrence lets go here, now the ball is in the air. And there you see it just went by them. So that's the tight angle look there.
I would be surprised if they get this call. Or are you thinking that, well, that contact was
yeah, they're
before the ball was thrown?
You can't review. I mean, this is Dressler here. You have to review defensive pass interference, which is ball in the air foul, not illegal contact on a receiver. Now Daggy still hasn't thrown it, and that's when the correct is on between Alonzo Lawrence and Weston Dressler. Now the ball's in the air. Now is that contact continuing with the ball in the air now? And it looks like it is. It looks like it is as he's trying to make his break. So you might be right here, Chris, that he's trying to come out. Lawrence didn't let go in time. Well, we'll see. It's a close one. That was in the corner of a wider shot if they have the evidence to overturn it. But you can't review illegal contact.
Again, Dressler without a catch tonight. And in that Hamilton game when they were limited to 3 points, their 1,000-yard receivers didn't get a catch until the final minute of the game.
But this is a good challenge by Corey Chamberlain. This is one where at this game, 9:21 to go, down 17. You need something positive. Take a shot here.
Need to stay on the field. Let's find out if they do.
Upon review, there was pass interference on Edmonton number 6. The foul occurred on the 39-yard line. It will be an automatic first down for Saskatchewan at the 39-yard line.
So they do get a much-needed fresh set of downs.
Well, we showed you why. I mean, you know, if that illegal contact would have been missed and not able to be challenged by Chamberlain, but because Lawrence hung on for just another step or two with the ball in the air, it becomes defensive pass interference, and that is reviewable. Chamberlain wins the review.
Interesting the way Chris Jones moves Lawrence around. He's at the strong side linebacker spot now. He exchanges positions with Otha Foster and moves to corner at times. There's with the catch near the first down stick, and he'll be dropped in that area.
Getzlaff will work his way back to the ball here. Again, we saw Rob Bagg do this, and this is a key fundamental for receivers and running routes. Break off and then get back and meet the ball as it's arriving. Don't wait for it to come to you. And that created the separation between Marcel Young and that completion.
Second and less than a yard. See if they use a free play here or whether they just get the first with Bessel. Give it to Bessel, and he'll get the first down. Alonzo Lawrence makes the tackle again.
And taking a shot there. Easy to second guess. Get something positive now. It's probably the better call is to just get the first down, keep moving the chains, on the clock. It's not out of reach by any stretch of the imagination. We've seen 3 touchdowns scored inside of the 3-minute warning in the CFL.
Again, this is the first of 3 meetings between these two teams. The other 2 will be at Mosaic. Going to the wide side, Dressler loose, and a catch for Weston Dressler. And that's as open as he's been tonight.
You know, and all of a sudden, Seth Daggy looks like he's feeling a little bit better about the situation. This is just obviously a play call to Dressler to get him into space, but the throw is on time. Right when Dressler turns around, he's got a chance to get upfield, pick up another first down. And that challenge by Corey Chamberlain's paying off with a couple of first downs since then.
First down, Daggy over the middle, ball tipped and falls incomplete. Sets up 2nd and 10. And since coming in, Daggy is 4 for 6 and 35 yards.
Alonzo Lawrence coming off the edge unblocked. He's going to put the hit on Seth Daggy.
Second and 10. Messam stays in the block. Slowed up Odell Willis, and the ball nearly picked off. Somehow got through Otha Foster, who should have had one.
This happens when a defensive back is hustling towards his receiver, the guy he is in charge of covering. And because he's breaking back so hard on him, when the ball is missed like this, it surprises him a little bit. Although he kind of set his feet, didn't he?
Oh, there's contact there. with Aaron Grimes and the intended target, and the challenge flag comes back out, and this might be more clear-cut than the last one.
Saskatchewan is challenging the previous ruling on the field of an incomplete pass. They believe there was a forward pass interference by Edmonton. The play will be reviewed.
Well, this is a different scenario here. This is Aaron Grimes in his own defense reacting to the ball, and he doesn't see Rob Bagg and actually collides with him just before the ball arrives. And you're right, that contact is early. Here they both are. Aaron Grimes is dropped into the flat. That's a zone drop by Grimes. Now, as Bagg goes into the middle, you see the contact made. The ball is right here. Contact is made by Grimes on Rob Bagg.
Now, does Bagg initiate the contact?
Does he come under the back of Aaron Grimes, or does Grimes go into Rob Bagg here? It almost looks like he hits him from behind, doesn't it?
Grimes reacts as if he was interfering.
Immediately feeling like he had a better shot at that ball in that inside zone drop, and got hit in the back by Bagg. The reaction from Aaron Grimes was immediately, I'll take a look in. And I think not only does Bagg hit Grimes in the back, but he also gives him a bit of a forearm.
After review, there is no evidence to call defensive pass interference on the play. It is an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
Third down.
So that's the way they saw it.
Corey Chamberlain throwing that challenge flag, though, I think he thought that Grimes there was definitely contact before the ball arrived, so he just assumed it was defense first and threw the flag, and you don't blame him for doing that. But the right call was made on both these challenges.
So it's 3rd and 10. They have somebody on side here. Maybe not. Milo sends it down around the 10-yard line. Scooped up by Lawrence there. And the Eskimos are pinned. 6:24 left. They are sitting on a 17-point lead at Commonwealth.
Five more.
It's left. Eskimos with the lead of football. And if you're wondering, last time the Roughriders were shut out, 1986, which I believe was the Sooner era. Swing it out to Lawrence. Foster blocking once again, and Lawrence steps out at around the 17-yard line. 6 yards for Lawrence. And
I don't like to remember that. I was in that game. Tom Clements, the quarterback for Winnipeg. Huffnagel was on that team in '86. That was not fun.
Mike Riley dancing around, running back and throwing incomplete. He was just throwing that away. Kendall Lawrence was in the neighborhood, but he doesn't make a mistake, and sometimes it's just good to put the football away.
Remember when they were playing Saskatchewan, one of Mike Riley's first starts a couple years ago, and he threw that interception just before the half. He's learned and has not made that kind of mistake since. I mean, you're deep in your own end. Don't try and force it to a receiver. He just threw it out of bounds.
Ray Williams
out there. That was Ray Williams, exactly.
Well, Weston Dressler, can he make a big play? They just Swamped him today. Mike Miller once again. Yesterday, again, Dressler thought about that it was a momentum thing.